Good morning and welcome back to NFR Hangover Round 8 recap. We'll give a shout out to some sponsors, and I feel like this is going to be a good one, so we're going to get right to it. So we want to give a shout out to Garden City Community College for loaning us Jim Boy hash for the week and the technology, I'm guessing. And then Double Rafter Livestock. We got goats and some bucking horses, I hear. Definitely goats. And we also want to thank myself, Bullfrog Creatives, and Cinch Jeans, which we were so lucky to have Jessica on yesterday. Let's get right to it. You guys, there's so many things going on. We're round 8. This is kind of when the magic starts to happen and when things kind of start to fall. Well, they're either going to fall into place or it's going to hit the fan. And then we're seeing both of those things happen. So, Jim Boy, why don't you introduce our guest today?
Yes, our guest this morning, Jimmy Morris. For those of y'all that don't know him, 1989 National High School Finals champion bull rider. Is that right? 89?
Yes, sir. That's dating us, James. That's what we're going to talk about a little bit here. About how old we really are, because I've had a real eye opener this week. I've got kids that I've watched grow up from the time they were toddlers, and they're getting buckles on the big stage.
It's humbling, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised I've lived this long, actually.
I'm surprised he wasn't the guy that got shot the other night.
Yeah. How does that happen?
So me and Jimmy, we ended up Murray State College in Tishomingo, Oklahoma, together. Cass Sally was coaching down there, and I graduated in 90, went to school there that fall. I thought, man, Oklahoma's the place to be if you want to be a bulldogger. I grew up in the Texas Panhandle, but I went down there, and my brother lived right over at Caddo. And so anyhow, Cass put together quite a team. We had some hands. We really did. For a junior college that was that new, we came really close to making the college finals as a team, and several of us individuals. And we had quite a group, and we had a lot of fun. Maybe more fun than should be allowed. But
I'm convinced me and you might have been Cass's biggest letdowns ever. I think he had higher hopes and expectations than what we performed to. But I always said we were a little school, but we could probably drink more beer than any big college ever.
My parents, I'm trying to recruit or watch.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I hope your wife doesn't divorce you after this, but
okay, let's not tell all the stories. But no, really, I think that's one thing that does make me, in my own mind, a good rodeo coach, because I can relate some of my incidences to these kids and let them know that, hey, and it is a different day and age. Heidi, you'd even say that, I think. I mean, everybody who college rodeoed, especially in the 80s, 90s, it's a way different ball game these days. It's way more business nowadays. So
it is. And I would say, I mean, case in point, look at how many student athletes are already starting to create social media posts, athlete social media pages.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already thinking about, how can I get this endorsement? How can I make this more of a business? And the fact that, I mean, we've talked about this, the PBR really pushed all cowboys to kind of start promoting themselves as athletes. And I mean, it was a great step for the entire sport, I think.
The PBR was, as far as bull riders, was the greatest step for bull riders. But cowboys aren't very smart. And if you'll look at the PBR, it's an example how the rest of the cowboys aren't very smart, because they don't never stick together. Cowboys never stick together. And the PBR was 30 guys that stuck together, and it turned into a multi-million-dollar deal, and everybody else is kind of sucking hind tits, so to speak. I don't know why. I had a conversation with a lady that works for a large association, and she said it baffles me when I go to these meetings that the directors, that doesn't have anything to do with the bareback riding, but the event directors won't vote for what the bareback riding said needs to happen. She said it bumfuzzles me how the cowboys don't stick together. But I see the PBR has brought some things into place the WRCA and all of that. They've been
Mhm.
had a big hand in that. So I see rodeo going great places right now. I wish I was still 21, but
No kidding. Hey, and before we get any further, I got to give a shout out to the Canadian Texas Wildcats, my hometown football team. They're still playing in state. I think they play in the semifinal game tonight. I think they go on to Jerry's World in the end, if I'm not mistaken. But I got my hair cut this week. You know, kind of
awesome.
back in honor of the old
We
Wildcats.
we
88,
we
89.
we had haircuts one time in college, didn't we, James?
Yeah.
One time.
Well, what's bad is that girl showed me the mirror from the back up there, and I'm like, "Hey, what'd you do with all that?"
Oh man, that's awesome.
And then also, if people out there watching, tell your friends about this. Share it. We're gonna go. We have 2 more days. We're gonna go Saturday morning, and then this is revolutionary, folks. We're
Mhm.
gonna be the only NFR show that will go on Sunday. A live, fresh deal. A total recap Sunday morning. We're obligated to this. We're doing it. So
We're seeing it through.
we have guests lined up for tomorrow morning. We're going to have Tony Branquino come back, him and CJ Aragon, and then Sunday morning I have Mike Greenleaf lined up. He's kind of he was part of the premise of this deal, so we got him lined up for Sunday. But how's our numbers looking, Heidi?
Pretty good. We've got a little over 40 live viewers, and the page is growing every day. So we're averaging reaching about 20,000 people right now.
Awesome.
But by the time we get off the air and people share it and rewatch it, we're getting lots of views. So
Cool.
yeah, pretty cool.
You
Pretty
might,
cool for pulling a rabbit out, huh?
Yeah.
you might have a Kansas kid you need to call Sunday morning and ask him about his average title.
Very, very likely could be. Could be.
Yeah.
That would be. We haven't had I was going to say, we haven't had a Kansas bareback rider in quite a while. There was always Will Lowe, but Texas kind of laid claim to him. But, it's been a while. So, yeah, that's good to see. And so I'm glad to see that. One thing I want to start off with, the national anthem last night. I don't play vocalist or anything. Did you watch that?
I did.
Did that guy struggle, or was that the way it's supposed to go?
So I think that's the way he wanted it to go, but I'm not sure that's the way that it was intended to go.
Do you remember the dude at the college finals a few years ago? He was going to play a guitar and sing, and I can't remember if it started out kind of like Amazing Grace, national anthem, or he got confused and the words. He started ad-libbing, and it just went from bad to really worse. I felt sorry for that guy. So
it's hard. So, I mean, I will give it to him. If you can stand on that, on a stage like that and knock out the national anthem, it's hard. I remember I used to sing the national anthem a lot. I sang at the college finals a lot. I was backup when I was doing openings production because you just never know if somebody's not going to show up. But I have messed up the words once, and it was mortifying. Like, it kind of put a pin in it, and I never, you don't forget when that kind of stuff happens, and it's almost real hard to show your face after that. So I feel bad when it happens, but I totally get it. I think I said broad stars and bright stripes, like it was just a little bitty mix, but I knew it as soon as I said it. I was like, gotta keep on going, just keep on going.
I nominate Jim Boy to sing it once next year. It'll be back in Vegas next year, so Jim Boy can have him a few Bloody Marys and he'll be ready to go.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Jack Ingram fan. I like Jack Ingram, but I was a little disappointed last night.
Well, and there are a lot of country music singers. There are a lot of singers that with backup sound real good, but in that format, it just doesn't work.
And the building itself has a small echo in it. It's only at half capacity. It's only at half capacity, and they have this big roof in there. So I know you guys haven't been there, but I've been to 4 or 5 perfs. I don't know, but it does have a small echo in it anyways, but I don't really know if he can blame that on the echo, but we'll go with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you back down there or are you headed back?
Yeah, I'm down here. I had to come watch Jess get his buckle last night.
Yeah.
It just so happened I was here. We've had a table a few nights at Texas Live. I've been to the rodeo a few nights. I've let my son go to the rodeo a few nights without me, and so we've been down here. But I've got tickets for Saturday night. I'm 3 rows in front of the announcer, so I will be pretty much dirt level. So it'll be really cool.
Now,
I had a lot of tickets and I sold a lot of them, and everybody thought they were some people thought some of them were too high and they didn't really want them. And then once they seen pictures of my seats, they wish they could have bought them, but I'd already used them by then. So whatever.
So before don't want to get too far behind. The comments are working on my Facebook feed now. Dayla says, "Go Wildcats." Tony Branquino, best NFR show ever. Robert Dewey says, "I'm surprised y'all let Jimmy speak on a live feed." I did ask Jim Boy this too. Do I need to have like a bleeper on hand somewhere?
Yeah, I need to be on a 10-second delay probably.
well, I was thinking this morning. I was like, so I had Todd Butcher on earlier, and won't go into that too much. Todd's great, but kind of like Jimmy, you know, maybe not be the biggest fan of some people out there, PRCA or whatever, but I don't care. You know, Jimmy,
I'm still convinced that they were bleeping him. Somebody else was bleeping Todd.
It sure wasn't their media department, because their website, we need somebody to help them. I don't know why, you know, you go on there and I've had other people texting me through the week, "Hey, where's the stock draw?" I mean, that's one of the big things.
Their website is hard to navigate.
I mean, that's one of the big things every night that people want to see. And the average standing. Oh, and last night me and Brock were arguing at the Pins yesterday, because I'm like, well, I don't know why, but Emily's 14th in the average. He goes, she ain't that far down. I'm like, yes, she is. Look on here.
Well, other people have hit barrels.
Well, but it had her like a time on 6, and it had others a time on 7. Like, get disqualified or something. I mean,
I was looking at the results last night, and they had Stetson Wright winning 13,000 in the bull ride, and he didn't even make the whistle.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's in charge of their updating their NFR information, but they're not doing a very good job.
And that goes back to every other association out there. You know,
yeah, there's always
technology is great, but we all know them mamas in the stands with their clipboard and their tablet that could have the answer for you in a lot quicker amount of time.
Tony Branquino's got a spoiler alert for us. This show is the amazing modern day Regis and Kelly rodeo edition. Todd Butcher, what's up, Jimmy Morris? Been a while, old pard. Gunnar Stapleton, sucker's got a voice. Must be talking about our national anthem dude last night. Or Jim Boy. Is he talking about you, Jim Boy?
No, he's talking about the singer, but that's Gunnar Stapleton. He was one of my former students. Pretty good team roper.
Kaylee Jones,
the guy that was singing.
Kaylee Jones wants to know if you've turned in your notice to the college, since you're going to be a famous TV star now.
Yeah, we'll see.
And Anastasia Haley wants to know, how hungover are you, Jimmy?
Oh, I'm not too bad today, because this isn't Las Vegas. They shut us down at 1 o'clock. Yes, they shut us down at 1 o'clock, so it's a little easier to function at 8 a.m. Usually when you're in Vegas, you're just kind of straggling in right now. So
are the bars open? Because I thought I'd seen something where they were shutting everything down in the evenings.
I think there's a catch. It's got to serve food or something like that.
Okay.
I've been to a few places. I went to the Stockyards. Of course, we went to Billy Bob's, and they had a concert, and they stayed open until that was over. And then Texas Live, they start running us out about midnight, 12:30. You can go upstairs to the PBR bar a little later. I don't really understand all their COVID regulations. I think they're kind of making them up as they go.
Seems like it.
I had a pretty good one last night, Jim Boy. You'd have been proud of me. The poor security lady, she was on mask detail, and my son stood up from the table, and he stood up at the table. He was still had his hands on the table, and she come over there and told him, if you're standing up, you have to put your mask on. So
He's not even all the way up yet.
no, he wasn't. He wasn't even. He was just standing up. He still had his hands on our table. So I went to the bathroom, and when I come back, there were 2 police officers, and I'm all for back in the blue. There were 2 police officers leaned up against the elevator, and they were standing there watching. Neither one of them had their mask on. So I grabbed the security lady and I sicked her on them. And she said, well, you go tell them. I said, you're security, you go tell them. So she went and told them, and they put their mask on and they had it down. And she come back over there, and I said, he needs to put his mask up over his face if he's going to stand up. She went back over there and made him put it on. He wasn't very happy, I don't think. But
well,
anyway.
Kudos to her.
Yeah. She didn't want to do it. Trust me.
No, I bet she didn't.
I pressured her into that one.
So do you have to reserve a table at Texas Live?
You have to. They have general admission, but they won't let you stand up. I mean, so yeah, you pretty much have to reserve a table, and I don't think there's any left for the next 2 nights.
Watching the buckle ceremony last night, it looks like it's starting to get a little more full in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been about the nights that I've been, it's been about the same. All the tables have been full. And like I said, they won't let you be standing around. If you're standing around, they'll be in the middle of you.
But there's more room in there than you remember the days of the Gold Coast?
Oh yeah.
You could in that room. And then the South Point, I don't there's not this has got to be bigger than that even, huh?
No, it's probably comparable to that, except at the South Point, you'll have a lot of people standing around, but they're on if you're standing up detail, and they got a capacity, so they sell general admission tickets, but that doesn't mean anything. They'll run you out of there in a heartbeat once they get to their limits. So
Tammy,
Jimmy,
my sister-in-law here says all the bars on Exchange Avenue and the stockyards are open until 2.
Yeah, well, whenever I was in the stockyards, I went to Billy Bob's, so I went to see the Bellamy brothers. What do you think about that one, James?
They played
nice.
our Miles in Shawnee in 1990.
They screwed up our hotel reservation the first night I was there, and so they gave me some free tickets. They felt bad, so that's what I did. The second night, I let Luke Casey go to the rodeo with his buddy, and I went to the stockyards and watched it on the big screen. Then went to Billy Bob's. So.
Now,
fair trade.
What do you think the chances are when it does go back to Vegas, and not even after a renegotiation of a contract? I suppose the Cowboy Channel is still going to be carrying it, correct?
I hope so.
I have heard no different, and I've spoke to some people over there, and I haven't heard anything. I've spoke to Justin McKee every night, and I haven't heard him say anything different. So
my question is, do you think there's any chance that, I mean, and I've been seeing stuff on social media of, the NFR will be a better hit for people at home because the TV, and it'd be better for rodeo because you're getting in a better time zone for production. So what's the chances when they go back, they'll start the performance earlier in the day? They can spread it out a little bit longer, get the barrel racers their drag that they're wanting or whatever they need there. Still get them people to the casino at the same time, maybe even earlier than what they have been. Do you think there's any way they would consider that?
I don't. Honestly, probably not. I think Las Vegas Events is pretty set on what they've got. They want like an hour and 50-minute production, and they want us in the casinos. They don't even want us to go to the rodeo, I don't think. I think that it's costing them money whenever we're not in the casinos.
Wow.
I have heard, I've talked to people that were in the negotiating meetings, and they said that Arlington offered them a better deal than Vegas did the last time they renegotiated. I'm hoping, because I've enjoyed it down here. I really have. When you get ready to leave Thomas and Mack and you got to wait an hour on an Uber or a cab, it's
hard.
It's not very fun to me because I don't do crowds and lines, and I get pretty grumpy.
And I've seen the comments of, man, it's amazing people still sitting in their seats to watch the bull riding instead of hurrying out to go get in the bus line.
Right. Yeah. Well,
and the room around the corridor, what's that called? When you walk to go get your seats.
Yeah, the corridor, I guess.
No, it's not.
Concourse.
Huh?
The concourse, James.
Yeah, the concourse. Who was? Oh, Jessica Waitert was telling us yesterday that she goes, man, it's nice. You can walk without having to play Mario Kart.
I parked the first night. It cost $20 to park. Well, that's what it costs you to take a cab or Uber in Vegas, and then you got to take one back after you wait. But I parked and walked literally across the street, and I was at the main entrance. And last night we parked right by Texas Live, which it's all on the same block. It's all right together. The buckle ceremony is approximately 2-minute walk. I mean, it's right there. And so we have had no issues with having to walk a mile or wait on cabs or anything like that. We've been able to pull up there real close and get down to business. It's been pretty enjoyable, I thought.
So Anastasia says, keep it in Texas. Dela commented, I hope that Cowboy Channel keeps it. It's so much better. I said that it has more of a rodeo feel, like the production side of it. What we're seeing at home has more of the rodeo feel rather than like, when it was on ESPN, great channels and awesome platform for us to be on, but they almost tried to play it like a football game.
Yeah.
All of the, I don't know, the production side of it was very ESPN feeling rather than that rodeo feel. So I think really reaching out to our market and keeping those traditions in place, I think it's so much better. But
I think we have,
I'm not on the money side.
With the Cowboy Channel, I think we have people that know rodeo producing a rodeo. When ESPN was doing it, I mean, they cut Tim Sharp off from the telecast when he was about to ride 20 in a row or 24 in a row, and he's on the Buck and Bull of the Year for a gold buckle, and they cut it off. I mean, they ended the show.
Yeah, they don't know.
Yeah, they had no idea what was. I mean, that's like they're kicking the winning field goal at the Super Bowl, and they're just like, "Whoops, we're out of time. See y'all later." And everybody's like, "What happened?"
Yeah. So, Steve Burney, let's see. I'm trying not to miss any. We've got some good comments. Cowboy Christmas in Vegas wouldn't be happy if the rodeo started earlier. And then Steve Burney said, "Is the atmosphere in Globe Life similar to the T&M, to the Thomas and Mack?"
Well, it's so much bigger, and we're only at half capacity. I think if it wasn't in the COVID times that we're in, I'm convinced they would have sold this building out.
So that's what I was wondering. Do you legit think that we could sell? I mean, would it sell out, that building?
I think it would. I really do. I think it would have.
I mean, that alone would bring so much more money.
And like right now, they've got tickets online. The lower levels are $500-600 or whatever they are. But whenever they went on sale, and the face value of those taxes and everything, the ones that I bought were like $295. Okay, if they could have sold that building out, there would have been a lot more people buying for $295.
Yeah.
And now they want $600-700, so people are hesitant to buy them. But they could have had an option to buy those for $200. They would have win. I'm convinced it would have sold out.
Yeah. So we do have a question. I've got to scroll back up a little bit. Y'all, we got a homework assignment. We need to find out what kind of gum Dakota Elridge chews. Every night, man's got a piece of gum in his mouth. So we have an assignment. I'm going to have to text somebody on the ground and see what I can find out. Haley Frazier says we usually have to wait for a basketball game to get over. Which in that case, I'm obviously the rodeo is not waiting for whatever is going on TV. So then you miss who knows what. So you miss bareback riders opening. We never did get to see the openings before. So
college basketball game, Division II, two schools you've never heard of, and they go into double overtime, and you're sitting there pulling your hair out because you missed half the bareback riding.
Yes. Lynette Harbin, I don't know that it would sell out at $250 a ticket, make them reasonable, like $100 each. I mean, it almost doesn't even matter what you charge them for.
I bought tickets in section 7, which were the very, very lowest seats. The first 8 rows are the lowest gold buckle section. And those were $295 a piece. And then the next section up, which was still section 7 or section 1, there are rows like 9 through 15. Those are all below the suite, so they're still lower level, and they cost like $150 a piece plus tax. So they're reasonable for bottom level seats. I mean, I don't know. Did you see my Facebook the other day, James? I took some pictures. I was right next to the healing box.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I was going to say that you don't get to see in Vegas. You don't get to see what the calf ropers and team ropers are doing in the tunnel because they're
Yeah.
underneath you. You can't see. Well, I watched Junior Noguera right up there and hand his horse to a guy and got off his horse. And I don't know if he went to throw up or not, but it looked like that's what he was doing to me. I mean, and you can see the nerves on these guys because you get
Oh
to
my gosh.
horses, and you never get to see this in Vegas because they're hid. And
Well, it makes it real.
yeah, it makes it real because you don't. I mean, I know what it's like from a competitor
Yeah.
standpoint.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'd be back there throwing up right now. Well, you don't get to see that in Vegas, and then you're here, you're watching these guys, and you get to see that they're human beings too. They've actually got nerves. Everybody thinks Junior Noguera's cold as ice. Well, he looked pretty nervous to me the other night.
Ooh, that's funny. So Lynette says, I agree, reasonable for those seats, but then when they're going for that price for the upper level, that gets a little hard.
Yeah, the face value for the upper level, and that's the thing is the way they sold the tickets this year, they only sold half, so they sold out. And then the way they had to sell them in blocks of 4 for
Mhm.
all 10 rounds, it made it where only a limited number of people could get them. You couldn't just buy 2 tickets for one perf, so you had to buy them all. Well, once you bought them all, well, then you could sell them for whatever you wanted them for because they were a
right.
hot commodity.
So let's talk about those box seats. I mean, I think the executive seats or whatever, there's a lot of opportunity when you have that kind of a seating option, I feel like.
Yes, most definitely. I bought tickets for all. I had tickets in section 7. I had tickets for all 10 rounds, and section 1, which is right by the healing box, I had tickets. Well, I couldn't go to that many perfs, so I sold a lot of tickets, and I didn't buy them with the intention of making money, but I did make money off of them.
Mhm.
I had the tickets.
Yeah, on here. We're going to be too big. The FBI will hear about that.
Do what?
I said the FBI will hear about that. You can't say that on here.
Well, if that's the worst thing I ever do, the FBI will be lucky.
Hey, tell me, you know, the team roping, we've had a little discussion on here. In my opinion, they just need to go ahead and make the score even anyhow. I mean, they talk like 2 foot off is a big head start. Watching last night, just from kind of looking at the arena diagram, in my opinion, it would help them even just rotating to stay straight in line with the right fence, maybe, because they have that. Whoever set that up, and who am I? I'm Jim Boyd, dumbass Hash. I run the Bronc Buster, Little Britches.
You're getting smarter as you get older.
But they have that chute setting to where, I mean, it's so just all you have to do. You don't have to change a lot. Just looking at it for me last night, rotate a little bit, send it right down that right fence.
They could have added 2 more panels, which would be 20 feet, and scooted the number 1 buck and shoot over just 20 feet at a little bit more of an angle. And I think 20 feet would give them guys a lot more room. Yeah. And I mean, last night, which especially that one steer really went hard left. Well, that guy he was wadded up in the corner. And as the steers get run and get roped and get turned, they're going to have a tendency to step left anyways. And so they just getting closer and closer to the fence. But if you go a jump or 2 farther, then you have a lot of room, but you have a slower steer, and you can let it go as you cross the line. You're going to be watered up in the corner.
Yeah.
Well, so, I mean, let's talk about this. When did they make the decision that they were going to move forward and have the rodeo at Globe Life? Like, when, y'all know when that decision was made?
Not very long ago. I know that.
Well, that's just it. I mean, I think if there's time to really sit down and configure, I mean, obviously hindsight, we got that going for us, but for what they had and the time they had, and I mean, it seems like the whole community, like we got Texas Live, we got the stockyards into it. And I would also say that to an extent, they're set up for it already, but it's been real impressive. I was just thinking, like, imagine the staff at Globe Life, like, oh, hey, we're going to have a rodeo here. Like, and they're thinking, a what? So like for them to turn that around in that short amount of time. I mean, I think even when we do the CNFR here in Casper, they've had a rodeo in this building before, but there's a lot that goes into that every year. Like, how can we
Right.
get better? What can we do this year? How can we make the ground better?
Right.
So for that quick of a turnaround and for the like kudos to
That's
Texas for
that's
sure.
one thing. That's one thing I've said about Texas. Everybody says, "Well, they do this better in Vegas or that better in Vegas," and I'm like, they've been in Vegas since 1985.
Yeah,
They've
it's
had
like a
30. They've had
well-oiled
35
machine.
years. Yeah, they've had 35 years to perfect it. These guys are 3 months. Had
Mhm.
3 months to prepare, and I think they're, for a baseball pun, I think they've knocked it out of the park myself.
Absolutely. And I think too, I mean, it's good. It's a good, I don't want to say experiment, but it's a good experiment to see. And it's good for the NFR and the PRCA to see like, okay, here's a little taste
Yeah.
of what we could get somewhere else. And even if they don't go, I mean, even if they don't leave, and we kind of talked about this yesterday, Jim Boy, like it still kind of lights a fire under Vegas's.
Yep. It's a
So that,
bargaining chip.
yes, like, okay, they did this in Texas, and how could we maybe do
Right.
something different here? Or, I mean, and if they don't and they just want to stay where they're at, then is that right? Is that still a good fit for the PRCA?
Right. I think this will be a good bargaining chip, whether they stay in Vegas or decide to leave at some point, because they see what they're capable of doing without Vegas. The city of Arlington, I learned a lot of stuff. Big cities, they have a fund where they use to donate to events to come in and put on events in their city, because it basically offsets their taxes. Well, I never knew that, but I've learned that in the last few months.
Yep.
And, this is a huge rodeo for cowboys. But as far as professional sports go, this is a joke. I mean, $26,000 payoff, them guys get more than that to sit and watch the Super Bowl if you make the Super Bowl. So I think this will be a good bargaining chip to maybe make it better for the Cowboys. And, it grows slowly at Vegas, and it's grown a lot since 1983. That's when I went to watched my first NFR. So it's grown a lot, but I think we got a lot more room to grow, and I think we should be growing faster. I really do.
Hey, was that somebody knocking on your door?
Yeah, it's probably the maid.
Is she trying to get in or out?
No, I think she's trying to get out.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
So CJ kind of replied to Steve Burney's question about the atmosphere and Globe Life versus the Thomas and Mack. And it looks like Lynette agrees. It's hard to hear the announcers, and the acoustics are terrible. It seems like the production is more geared for the TV broadcast. What's your opinion on that there, Jimmy?
Yeah, well, like I said, the building's half full, and they have this roof. And like I said, we were talking about the national anthem. There's definitely, an echo in there. And
Yeah.
The buildings, I think that when they designed the building, I think they really intended to use it with the roof open most of the time, but we can't open the roof during the NFR because we have all of our big screen and everything
Hanging.
else is hanging from it. So we can't open it up because we have stuff tied to it.
So the other point, Karen Wilkinson, my mama, they portrayed the breakaway roping as being a part of the NFR this year. And I think a lot of people were really expecting it to be in the performance. And they didn't never say that it was going to be in the performance, but I guess how they marketed it really made it feel like it was going to be. And so I think there were a lot of people wondering about that. And I also feel like one step at a time, like we're here this year, like it's really not too far. It's not too far away that it's going to be in the perf.
Well, and I think so. And that's one thing. I think it won't be in the perf until the renegotiations in Vegas. I don't think there's any way possible, just because of their time limitations that they have squished on us.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Vegas is willing to loosen up on their time limitations. That's one thing that would concern me about staying there, because just like the live contestant interviews after, that's something that you don't get in Vegas.
Yeah.
Because they don't allow you 60 seconds to interview the champion. They just don't do it. And so as long as it's in Vegas and as well, especially as long as it's under the contract it's under, I don't foresee anything changing in Vegas. I expect Vegas to stay the way that it has been previously.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to change gears here. Sorry, but we haven't even, we could go through the events we talked about. We're proud of Jess representing Kansas well, and that was great for them last night. The team roping talked about that, but I'm going to fast forward to the bull riding. Jimmy's our bull man here. I'm sorry, we can come back, but I'm pretty sure, Heidi, you're going to find out that this will, in 2 hours, we'll need to tell Jimmy to shut up. So,
Or me.
we'll skip. First thing I want to cover is the bullfighters.
Yes.
What a crew! I mean, always, and you could take the top 20 bullfighters, and they'd be good. But you've got the best in the arena, right there, and I mean, they've all taken some shots. The tribute to Liesl Harris the other night. I think there was a question the other day. I think Jalen, my son, made a comment, and I don't know if he was really confused or just make a comment about they had a different look to them, but they paid tribute to Liesl Harris, longtime great bullfighter and barrel man, entertainer, funny man. And for those that don't know, didn't know Liesl, if you never got the chance to see Liesl and Phil Gardenhauer announce a rodeo and Liesl work it, that was tremendous. I seen Liesl do his piano act one night, and Phil was the announcer, and it was awesome. I mean, the only thing that ranks up there for me in my childhood memory of acts was G. Crouch and Leon Coffey with the Chariots.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you ever got to see that, oh my goodness, it's a wonder they ever lived through any of them, any perf of doing that act. But go ahead, Jimmy.
well, Liesl Harris was definitely, I mean, a legend. There's no doubt about that. I've seen him work so many rodeos with Harper Morgan, and I started clowning a few years ago, and that was my one goal was I wanted to work a perf with Liesl, and it never happened. But whenever I was helping Maury Tate with some rodeos, Liesl worked some rodeos, and I'm not a picture guy. I'm not the kind of guy that meets a superstar singer or whatever and wants a picture. I don't even want their autograph. I usually don't even want to talk to them. But Liesl Harris, I was like, hey, you mind taking a picture with me? And he's probably the only person in the world I've ever asked to do that. So he was definitely a once in a lifetime kind of entertainer, and he knew his business and he took care of it well.
So tell us. Reminds me back. And there was a question the other day. Monty Turley, was wanting me to expand on my bullfighting days, and believe it or not, when I said the other day, I've been involved in about every facet in rodeo.
Yeah.
I did fight some bulls.
Yeah.
When I was in junior college.
On purpose?
Huh? Yeah.
On purpose?
Oh yeah, he got out there and got right in the way.
Oh heck yeah.
Oh, he's got a photo to prove it. Yeah, if it didn't have a picture, it didn't happen, right, James?
And Trell Outbar the other day at the little junior rodeo over at Dodge City, he's like, hey, I remember that time over there at Cimarron when that bull hit you. I didn't know if he was ever going to land. And that picture, it makes it look like I'm jumping in there, but I'm actually on my way out. That was after he hit me right in the chest. This was before vest. And I mean, I was just in the air thinking, oh my God, this is going to hurt when I land. But when we was in junior college down there, we'd go over to HD Pages, and Dylan had a rodeo company, and they had bulls, and this is when the bull breeding deal was just starting to take place.
That was before they had a roof and everything. Now they've got a big mansion over there, big fancy.
I can imagine
Taj Mahal over there.
They have these pickups down there in the muddy bottom. Everybody's in a Toyota 4-wheel drive pickup, just chasing bulls around. They run them, they herd them up the hill, and they come right up there. And I kid you not, I think they were just getting that pen built, that buck and bull pen, but the lead up alley up to it was like chicken wire and wooden posts. And I'm like on the outside holding it up because these bulls are just, and Then we're going to buck, and it's Jimmy, KJ Pletcher, HD getting on. Might have been a few other people, but
I
you
think
know,
your brother Ken
cool.
King was with us too, maybe a few
Yeah,
times.
probably Ken was probably, and there. So it's typical little college boy practice session. Not enough help. You know, it's there's two guys in the arena, one pulling the gate, one latching, and then you go out there and kind of fight the bulls. And I told him, I said, I'll throw my sword and stick, and I'll try to divert for a little bit, and then you know you have one shot because you know I grew up working for Bill Hex, and his bulls were all pretty gentle, pretty easy. They'd buck you off and just stop and walk out. But so that was pretty entertaining. But anyhow, like I say, the bullfighting deal. Them guys are amazing. The other night when was that who got hurt the other night?
Tyler Bingham, when Tyler Bingham got hurt,
laid out, and them guys were and that becomes a tricky situation. Your pickup men, sometimes I've seen pickup men come in there and do more harm than good.
Yep.
They need to just kind of hang back. I mean, be there, be ready. But then bullfighters did a good job of getting the bull away, getting him out of there. And, you know, the pickup men were there and ready if they needed to be, but they handled that really well.
They did good when Roscoe Jarbo got hurt too. I'll tell you about little Cody Webster. I've known Cody since he was probably, I don't know, 10 or 11 years old. Maybe he started fighting bulls, and I used to put on some junior deals when Lucchese was barely riding calves. And we had a association up around Tulsa, and Webster would fight bulls for me. He was like 13 years old, and he would come fight bulls at these deals. And he broke his ankle, and Jess Pope was riding steers. And so Jess Pope was riding steers, and we had pony riding too. And Webb, he was our little bullfighter, and he would come up there. Well, he broke his ankle and or his leg. He broke his ankle or his leg. But anyways, he called me and he said, "Hey, I broke my leg or whatever." He said, and it was in a little building in the wintertime. So if you wanted a vendor space, you had to pay for it, you know? And so anyways, he called me and he said, "Hey, I broke my leg. I need to make some money. I got this cotton candy machine. Can I bring it up there?" I said, "Yeah, come on, bring it up there." So he's 13, 14 years old, brings his cotton candy machine up there. Well, he figures out he can make all kinds of money with this cotton candy machine. So when his legs healed up, he gets him a little girl to run his cotton candy machine, and then he sells cotton candy while he fights bulls. So he's double dipping. And I said, "Damn, this guy's going to go to work for Harper and Morgan down there." So, and it's kind of funny because, you know, Webb, he's been to the finals 8 times now, and now he's bullfighter of the year. And I brought some bulls to his bullfighting school and some riders so they could practice, you know, cowboy protection. And I was just asking him the other day, and he's still got the cotton candy machine. So he's not gonna, if he gets hurt, he can still make a living.
He's got something to fall back on.
He's got something to fall back on.
I was listening to Rump Chat one day, and they were talking about how when he went up to Cody and was living in like a little horse trailer or something, I don't know, just roughing it. But that was the commitment. That's what he wanted to do.
That's the Cody Night Show bum.
I've been there 2 summers.
I have too. It's a good seasoning.
I was there. I helped Maury Tate, and Lucchese was still old enough to ride steers back then. So I spent 2 summers up there and helped Maury, and that's where, matter of fact, that's where I clowned my first perf. That's
when were you there?
That's where Justin Rumford clowned his first perf. John Harrison was clowning, was working a few perfs, and his wife Carla had worked a few perfs. Well, they went to Yellowstone, and they come back, and he said, John looked at me and said, you up tonight? And I said, hell, I don't know. And he said, well, me and Carla, we just got back from Yellowstone, and we're kind of tired. And I said, well, I guess I'm the guy. And so I did my first perf right there. That's, I guess I got to gain a few more pounds before I get as big as Rumford does, and maybe I can gain the success. But that's why I'm getting so chubby, James, because I look at Sosby and Rump, and I'm like, well, that's the secret. You got to be a fat guy. So I'm trying to catch up with them.
I don't suggest it.
When were you slumming at the night show?
Probably, well, my son turned 18, and he was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Well,
Yeah.
I was there. So I went to school my first 2 years in Powell at Northwest College.
Yeah.
So I was there one summer. I worked at the Proud Cut for
Yep.
Dell because he was my rodeo coach.
Yep.
And then I was at the night show.
There's an artist sketched some pencil drawings,
Mhm.
and there's a little pencil drawing, painting or drawing or whatever of my son in the Proud Cut on the wall there. They hung some of them in there. He was still steer riding back then, but
Oh,
I
cool.
went down to the little portable building place. You know, you can rent those portable buildings, and
Yeah.
I had them bring me a little cabin, and I
Heck
unloaded
yeah.
it, and I hooked me an air conditioner up and some lights, and I built a bed in there, and I had me a cabin. I was first class.
So I went there for a doctor's appointment not too long ago, and they've made some really good updates as far as like it's not really slumming there anymore. You can there's campground stuff back there
Right.
now too. It's real nice.
Yeah, we haven't been in a while. I've been wanting to go back, but you know, Lucchese was high school rodeoing, and I was working in the oil field and all that kind of jazz. But
Adulting.
now that we're all unemployed, man, I might have some free time.
Curse and a blessing.
Tell me, should Sage have got a reride last night?
I thought he should have got a reride last night, but there was one perf in the bull ride, and I thought 3 guys should have got a reride. I think they're still stuck on the Las Vegas events hour and 50-minute performance deal. Trevor Kasner won.
When they replayed it, at first it looked worse.
Right.
When they first showed it, but when they replayed it and showed the back view,
yeah,
you can't really.
You just stumbled a little.
Well, I'm a bull rider, so you know, and I'm kind of for the rider. I'm like, the bull's got enough damn advantage. We've got to get some things going our way. But that one night, your Dusty Moore, he dropped the ball. He opened the gate, and that guy didn't nod. And so Dusty called me, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm headed down here to Dallas." They called me and said some dumbass opened the gate, and they want me to come check latches. And he said, he nodded. I said, whatever. He said, well, I thought he
I'd
nodded.
say that too.
But yeah, exactly. But I mean, the guy didn't nod. Why would you not give him a reride? It's not like he rode the bull 7 seconds. He didn't nod. He got off the bull, like, you know, and I thought Sage's deal could have went either way. When it happened live, I would have given him a reride, you know.
So we've got some comments to catch up on here real quick. I hate to interrupt good conversation. David Browder is convinced that your picture is photoshopped.
Yeah, I'm convinced too. Me and Dave's on the same team there.
What's that?
Your bullfighting picture is photoshopped.
Yeah. No, that was me. That's me. Browder, that's Fletcher back there. Yeah, that's Fletcher right there going down. That's me.
So Kelsey Scott says, you look so fancy and clean, like you got exfoliated in a hot razor shave.
Yeah.
David Browder says you probably just took a shower. And Joe Foy says, I could see Jim Boy Hash being the 16th cowboy to crawl out of the clown car.
What's that mean?
That's a good analogy, I feel like. I could also see that.
Hey, speaking of the clown car, Heidi, one of the coolest things I got to do going back to Cody was, you know, the car that they drove around town?
With the horns.
Yes, I got to drive the car.
It's still going.
I know. I got to drive the car and talk.
With the microphone.
Like, yes. That's awesome.
Iconic.
Yes.
Who's going to win the world, Jimmy, in the bull riding?
Oh man. I think Ty Wallace is fixing to be a world champion.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Other one.
He's riding so good, and he got bucked off right at the whistle the night before last, and he started such a good bull ride. And I thought he was going to ride the Bucking Bull of the Year last year, and then when the bull kind of was getting stupid in the chute and stuff, I said, well, maybe this ain't going to work out. But it worked out because he got a reride. And once he got a reride, and I seen that red bull run in there, I knew that bull. And when he run in there, I told my son, I said, he's fixing to win the round. And well, I was kind of right. He split the round. So, anyways, yeah, I think Ty Wallace. I think Ty Wallace is the guy that I think he's got the most momentum right now. And you know, this is the last couple rounds. You're already beat up, sore, and you're kind of struggling anyways physically. So your mental aspect is what's going to carry you through these last few rounds. And I think right now he's got the ball rolling his way. So
Mhm.
I think he's the guy.
So I'm not gonna lie, I've been missing the end of the rodeo because bedtime is very ill-timed around our place. So what is going on with Kai? I've missed the last 2 nights of bull riding and have not been seeing like does he
I
just
don't
kind of fall off his game? Because he started the week real strong.
he had a really good bull the night before last. He was away from his hand. He was moving around a little bit as he spun, and he kind of just dropped him down in there and just kind of bucked him off. And I can't really, what did he get on last night? I can't remember, Jim Boy. Do you remember what he got on last night?
No,
They,
I'd
they,
look, but I don't know
they
that I could find it.
yeah, they were. I can't remember exactly what he did last night. I know he didn't make the whistle, and but last night was Pin of Bulls. Last night was the Pin of Bulls. They only rode 2 in earlier in the week, and they rode 3 last night. So or 4, I guess they rode
Frank
4.
has an astute analogy or a observation.
Yeah,
His
prediction.
prediction is whoever wins Rookie of the Year will be the world champion.
Didn't they already give rookie to Cole?
No, for the bull ride, Rookie of the Year.
Gotcha.
For the bull ride.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think so because Ty Wallace is fixing to win it, and he's not. Matter of fact, I think I might be letting the cat out of a bag. I might not should be saying this, but I'm going to anyways because I say shit I'm not supposed to say all the time. But
That's what we do here.
Ty Wallace, I talked to Ty Wallace last night at the buckle ceremony, and Lucchese was going to rodeo with him this year. That's my son Heidi. In case you
Yep.
haven't caught on to all this, he just turned 18. He's got his permit, and we had actually talked about Lucchese was going to rodeo with Ty because I'm kind of particular on who he gets in the car with. I mean, I want him to go with somebody that's been to the finals and is business minded, not partying. And so me and Ty had talked a few times through the year, and they were going to rodeo, but he informed me last night that this is it. So this is his last 2 Ross. So I think I really think he's going to win it. And I think he's going to hang it up and be done.
How old is he?
Not very, 28, maybe.
Huh.
Yeah.
What is he
He's
just
got,
gonna
he's got a really good business. He's going to work. He's got a good business. He shoes horses. It says he's from Colorado, but he actually lives right by Ardmore, Oklahoma. He lives in Lone Grove. And he's got a really good clientele down around Weatherford, Texas, Stephenville, Texas, and he makes him a circle down through there once a week and shoes horses.
That's
And
it.
he does really, really good. And he just said he doesn't have the desire to rodeo and keep going. So he said this is probably going to be it. So I'm probably letting the cat out of the bag. But
Well, that's a tough call to make. I mean, honestly, because especially as young as he is, but to be in the same breath, like it's a smart call because you got to use your body for a long time after you're able to do this. And if he's kind of thinking ahead in that regard,
well,
that's a smart call.
me, the reason that I quit is because I couldn't win. So if I'm in the race for a world title, personally, I never would have quit. If I could still stay on, I'd probably still be riding, but I couldn't stay on. So I quit. But that's what's really I really respected a decision like that. Just like Justin McBride, they're like, how many gold buckles did he leave on the table? Like he didn't leave any on the table because he was done. He didn't have the desire to ride anymore and he was done. He didn't leave no gold buckles on the table because if he would have kept getting on and he didn't have the desire to be the best, he wasn't going to win gold buckles. And, if Ty Wallace decides he doesn't want to ride bulls and he's done, then he's done. And he's making the best decision. I couldn't make that decision because I'm thinking I can still stay on. And I'm still today, we got practice bulls at my house and I'll tell my kid, well, if I wasn't afraid, I'd hit the ground so hard, I'd show you, but anyways, I couldn't walk away when I was still winning. That'd be really hard to do for me.
Your decisions start to rely on how good your medical insurance is.
Exactly.
At this point.
Yeah. Yes.
I get that.
That's why I don't run to the house from the truck because like about that 17-step run, I won't be able to get out of bed for 2 days. I just ease around now.
I get it. I entered a mom goat tying last summer, and luckily it was just on the ground because if I had to step off, I don't think good things would happen. But I was feeling it for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy how something little just
Something that came so natural and was so easy then.
James doesn't have that problem because he's an A1 number one athlete still today.
He's very nimble.
Yeah. So who do you think's going to win the bull riding, James? You know a little bit about this sport.
Oh, I don't know.
You do too.
I just enjoy watching. Well, I can't.
Oh.
I mean, I know.
I got a good feeling I know who's going to win the all-around title. Y'all want my prediction on that? Poor ropers, the poor ropers. Yeah, how crazy is that? Stetson Wright's close to 200,000 at the NFR. He that's pretty impressive. That guy, especially considering that 3 weeks before the deadline, it didn't look like he was going to make the finals in either event.
Yeah,
it looked like he was going to be the all-around champion watching on the Cowboy Channel with the rest of us. The next thing you know, he's in the race for a world title in the bull riding. He's going to win the all-around title. Yeah, that's pretty impressive stuff.
And they say he's a good kid. That's what
seems like it
more to me, you know.
I think all the Wrights are pretty good kids. I think they've had. I mean, they're you know, that's what I was talking about getting Lucchese in with somebody that knows, because they got him with their dads and their uncles and everybody else that had already been there, and they were business. They went to rodeo. And I know me, whenever I was 18 years old, I had nobody to guide me, and I spent a lot more time drinking beer than I did riding bulls.
That's the whole, you know, back in our day, we, you know, the deal was a couple of us buddies just try to do it together. And nowadays, I think it's like I said earlier, it's a whole new deal. You got to get your kid in with somebody who not only takes care of business, knows how to enter. That's a huge deal right there. Knowing how to enter, knowing how to politic a little bit, and all that. So
a couple of marketing classes wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, here I am. I knew how to enter, and I knew how Procom works and all this. And so my son gets his permit, and I'm going to enter him in some rodeos. And I said, well, what's your card number? So he gives me this number. And I said, that's not your card number. He said, yeah, that's what the lady told me. And I said, no, it's got letters before it and after it. I don't know what that number is she gave you, but that's not it. So he calls her back, and she said, no, that's it. So their card numbers don't even have letters in them anymore, James. That's how much I know about it. I'm like, and you can text them, you can get online and enter at 2:00 in the morning. Like if you, I mean, you don't have to get up and.
I can still, I still call and get for stock. I can still, with my number still, I can call and see who has my horse drawn at a certain rodeo. So I know, and then I know who to contact, see who to get a video from, everything. So it's just crazy. So the old days of, we got to find a payphone.
Oh, especially whenever that's another thing. You find a payphone, you call the PRCA 800 number. You could usually get through or whatever, but I've called the 800 number now and nobody answers it. I'm like, what the hell? And I guess they've furloughed some of their employees or something. But back when I was going to IRA rodeos and you had to stop at a payphone, and you might get 3 different people on 3 different payphones trying to all get through. God, it's horrible. You just keep dialing over and over and over.
Whoever gets in.
Yes. Horrible. And these poor kids today, they don't have a clue. They are clue. My kid, he drives me nuts. He is clue.
Uphill both ways.
Yes.
So let's see. Stetson, there's a conversation going on about how Stetson is good to interview. He's very personable.
I know Jayton, my youngest boy, Jayton, he said at the high school finals, not this past summer, but the year before when he was in Rock Springs, him and a buddy were doing whatever, hanging out in the middle of the afternoon. And they said Stetson rolled up and was like, hey, where's the Roy's Lemonade stand? And they're telling him where to go get the Roy's Lemonade. And he goes, cool, thanks. He goes, that's the only reason I guess he was traveling through. And stopped in. They knew the high school finals were going on there, and stopped in to get some Roy's Lemonade. And they leave, and Bryce Toit, Jayton's buddy's like, Jayton's like, who was that? And he goes, that's Stetson Wright. And Jayton's like, no way.
Jim Boy, there is one thing that I've figured out from watching this year's NFR, and from watching my child and your child, and I have figured out haircuts are out of style. I have seen more long hair. The Wright boys got long hair. I asked my kid, "You going to get a haircut?" And he's like, "No." He looks like that horse behind you. And I said, "Okay, here's the deal." He had his collar unbuttoned, and I said, "That's too much sloppiness. You either have to get your hair cut or button the collars on your shirt, one of the two, but we can't have both." So he decided he'd button his collar. I don't know.
It's like the football players that have long hair. I feel like you put yourself at risk when you have more to get tangled up.
Yeah.
Even the girls put their hair in a ponytail.
Oh my goodness. I've never seen, yeah, haircuts are out of style. I figured that out. So
What else?
COVID didn't help that.
Jimmy, you got any other notes? You were taking notes. Jimmy told me he was taking notes last night.
no, I just think that this is one of the best rodeos that we've got to see in a long time. And I think the pin and bareback horses last night was incredible. Going into the night, there was 11 people with that had all the qualified rides, and 5 of those guys went out last night. And I mean, we cut the average guys in half right quick.
Mm-hmm.
So
That that Killer Bee, oh my goodness. Richie had to get on her last year at the finals, and then had her the first time she's out this year, and got along with her really well. And then man, last night, who was on her last night?
Was it Cole?
yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I'm like, whoa, because that boy rides. I mean, that hell, he's at the NFR, so he can take your ride.
Yeah.
And, oh my goodness.
I think the big question is of the week for the whole rodeo for everybody is where in the hell's Shad Mayfield at? Like who's that guy they sent to rope for him?
And that's one of the deals that
And
So-
Haven. I mean,
so
Haven
hot.
hasn't had a great week either.
No.
Who?
Haven
Haven.
Medjid.
But
Hey.
the thing is, and this is my opinion, you can have a hot streak. There's hot streaks, cold streaks, and when rodeo shut down, he still kind of got along there. But it's just like Boudreaux. How many people put?
Well, that's
Boudreaux
what I was. That
on
was
their
what I was
fantasy
fixing to
team?
say.
It was 50-50 right there.
I've got 3 fantasy
gambled
teams.
on Boudreaux. I'm like, I'm going to
Yep.
put him on my fantasy team. He's going to keep it rolling.
Yep.
But
I've
there's
got
the other side of you're thinking it ain't gonna be pretty.
I've
Well,
got
he's-
3 fantasy. I've got 3 fantasy teams and Boudreaux's on 2 of them. How smart do you think I feel
Well,
right now?
I did the same thing.
It's a good pick because you consider he's on a hot streak coming off the PBR
Yep.
finals. Like,
Yep.
dude was riding good.
And he had an awesome NFR last year.
Yeah.
He had an awesome NFR last year. He went to the PBR finals. He rode lights out. He had one little oops at the PBR finals, and you figure he's going to come in here and just keep right on rolling and continue where he left off last year and where he left off from the PBR finals. And I know Boudreaux personally, and I talked to his dad the other day, and it was only about 2 rounds into it, so we still had hope things were going to turn around, but now here we are, 8 rounds into it, and we haven't turned it around much. So, but this sport is, especially like I said, right now we're 8 rounds into it. So from here, this is where the mental game picks up. Well,
Yeah.
you're 8 rounds in, your body hurts and you ain't made the whistle. You don't have a very good mental outlook on the deal right now. So this is when it really gets tough.
Tell me this too. I'm curious your opinion. I know you've got an opinion. And I told Heidi, and I don't even, but I said one of the longest threads in Facebook history was the discussion of the junior high bulls in Tennessee there a few years ago. But, just wait on that. But anyhow, what's your opinion? Most of us all that's involved in the industry know that there's a buck and bull raised on every street corner these days.
Yep.
But the difference in the bulls, the PBR and the PRCA, and I know a lot of them are back and forth. They're in both deals, but and just the bull power overall. I mean, it's.
I think
there's still. I guess my question is there still rodeo bulls in the PRCA, and then I'm turning my blinker on. This is where I'm going to be in the PBR.
Well, I look at the results, especially since Lucchese got his permit. I go through there and look at the results from every pro rodeo that they have, and the difference is the top end, the bulls that they're winning on in the PRCA those are PBR caliber bulls. But the problem is like you go look up Round Rock, Texas at the Extreme Bulls. Well, they rode 20 bulls that they scored 77, 74, 73, 72 with no option for a re-ride. Thanks for coming. Better luck next time. Well, those bulls don't get to go to the PBRs. So you're getting on the top level bulls every single time. And the bulls that they won Round Rock, Texas on, he's a PBR bull. The top end of the bulls, but the rodeo guys, they use a lot of lower end bulls, and it in turn, it really screws the contestant. I mean, you know, you go pay your fees and you want a chance to win, and you shouldn't have to be 73 points, but that's the way rodeo is. They won't give you a re-ride, and you just got to live with it. But
Well, and that was one of the big differences. So I had an opportunity to go to the PBR here in Casper, like in October. And I had several conversations. I had a good one with Cody Custer because there were so many more re-rides in the PBR than I had seen in
Right.
any rodeo.
Yep.
And they just explained like the bull has to perform at his top level. And if we know that he doesn't, you get a re-ride.
Yep.
That was the main difference.
If a bull gets marked a 19 or under, it's an automatic re-ride. And in the televised events, they have a score pad where they punch the number in, and it's actually, when you put that in there, you don't have to put a re-ride option. But if that score is less than 20, it automatically pops up re-ride option. And
now this obviously makes the performance longer, but it makes the show better. I mean, you get a legit chance.
Okay. Like here, we're having a 2-hour rodeo, and we're bucking 45 head of stock, and then we've got 60 timed eventers. Over there,
right.
You know, like the cups, I still call them the cups because they were the Bud Cups back when I was going. I don't even know what the hell they're called, but I call them the cups. But they you know, they have 35 guys now, 2 hours to buck 35 bulls. So if they give some re-rides, I mean, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
I remember here some years ago, you know, when we had it, when we still was getting a bunch of bull riders at the Little Britches rodeos, the high school rodeos, the open rodeos. And I remember, you know, the contractor here, I remember it's like, no re-rides, don't be offering no re-rides. We ain't got enough bulls. I mean, they might be bucking some bulls twice. Ain't no re-rides. Now, I guarantee you, the flank man, when they run them now, he's like, give all the re-rides you want. I got plenty back here that need bucked.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a lot of that is, to me, parents are raising their kids different, you know, and so they're steering them in other avenues. I know guys that have won the world riding bulls, and they're like, I want my kid to ride bulls. I try to steer them in another direction. And I didn't want my kid to be a bull rider. I didn't tell him that I thought it was a good idea. When he brought it up to me, I said, that's a bad idea. I don't think that's what you want to do. And he said, yeah, that's what I want to do. But I think there's a lot of parents steering their kids away from being bull riders. And then you bring in the fact, what you brought up a while ago, the bucking bull programs, and these kids go to somebody's house to get on a bull, and they've never been on one, and they get on a 22 pointer and he kills them. I mean, you know, it breaks an egg in them fast. And that's been a big, as you know, that's been a big issue of mine for a long time. And I've fought it. Me and Cody Custer have both fought it tooth and nail. And I think actually after last year's high school finals, I wrote a pretty good letter to the board, and I think I've talked to our national director, and he was trying to get me on the agenda for the midwinter meeting. But I think they're going to adopt some rules for next year's finals that'll be better for the bull riders, I think. So hopefully we can get some stuff changed as far as that goes, you know. But it's like I wrote in my letter. I said high school rodeo is the only sport that allows a high school kid to compete against a professional. No other sport will do that. Professional baseball, you can't come out of high school. Professional basketball, you can't. And here we have 13, 14, 15-year-old high school kids, and they're running these professional bulls at them, and it just isn't working, you know. So hopefully we're going to get some things changed. So. Young boy, you froze up, or you asleep, or what?
No, I'm reading Heidi. What's this that this Jacob Gillum's putting on there? Is that?
I don't know. He posted something earlier too. I think it might be spam.
Yeah, I was going to say we might need to We
I
had
deleted it.
my Iranian friends, I think. Nothing against the Iranians, except for the one I talked to the other day about my fraud deal. But I think we had one of them on here the other day trying to get in on our.
Trying to get us to click on something. I just deleted it. So we've got a couple of comments here. Doug Munsell, college rodeos in the early 80s in Central Plains, there would be 120 or more bull riders entered in the fall. Bulls may go 6 times a weekend.
Yep.
And then I think he might have typoed this one. Right on, bringing me over. You have to have bulls that fit the age, from Jack Phillips. Yeah, for sure. And I think the same thing goes, you got the all the rough stock events at that junior level with the bareback riding and the saddle bronc too. I mean, bareback riding scares me to put kids on that young. It scares me at this level anyways.
Yeah, my son rode bareback steers in junior high, and he got to where he could kind of sort of spur at them, but he weighed like 85 pounds when he was eighth grade. So his freshman year, I was like, nah, we're not taking that level. And matter of fact, we didn't even high school rodeo his freshman year because the bulls they're over his head, and the horses, he wasn't getting on horses. He still hadn't got on horses, but he's just now grown enough where he's probably kind of ready. I was going to send him to Jim Boy's school, but I don't know if Jim Boy's stretched out enough to teach him anything or not. So.
Oh, you should. I just might get on one now. You better come.
Yeah. If you do, I'll come. I'll video.
We're going to need to live stream that.
I will be the video guy. But no, like Doug was talking about, I've got day sheets from when I junior rodeoed, and I lived in California until I was in the 6th grade. And I've got day sheets where there's 80 calf riders. And I mean, but that's what we did. We didn't have video games, and we didn't play soccer. And I don't think parents realized it was, they still let us ride without a seatbelt and stuff like that. I don't think they realized it was dangerous back then, And so it's definitely a different time, and we have to take care of these, our youth. We have to take care of them. We're not going to have a future. And I've spent some money. I've got my son a really, really nice set of practice bulls. And Cody Webster called me earlier in the year. It's kind of a funny story. He called me earlier in the year, and he said, hey, Dustin Bouquet's coming through, and he was winning the world at the time. And he said, can you bring a couple bulls over? He wants to get on a couple. And I said, yeah, no problem. So I brought some practice, and they're practice bulls. I took them to the high school finals, and they rode a couple of them. They're practice bulls. And so I brought him a couple bulls over there, and I told him, well, here, start out on this little guy right here. He's just a good one. And then I'll get you a better one. And so he gets on this little bull, and my son's been riding him in tennis shoes, and he rides him 2 jumps, and he bucks him off. And he was a little bit mad and a little bit embarrassed, I think. But I was like, hey, I'll run him back in there, or I'll get you another one. He's like, no, that's all right. I'm good. And I was like, yeah, I think he was afraid I was really going to run one in there that bucked. But I told Luke Casey, I said, see there, that guy's winning the world, and that's your practice bull. Like it's all, you got to ride the bulls, So anyhow, it's a funny little story. Dustin probably doesn't want to remember that, but I think I've got it on video, but I haven't dug it up lately. So. But yeah, people have to invest in the future of our sport. And that's what I told them, at the junior high finals, whenever I had my big, long rant, Jim Boy was talking about earlier, I said, if this was the calf roping, I said, there'd be people hanging from trees, but since these are little bull riders and you guys think they're supposed to be tough, it's no big deal. But at the end of the day, they're little kids. I don't care what event they work, they're little kids, and so anyhow, and after that year, that's when Cody Custer stepped up, and I helped him get some bulls together, and he got a set of bulls together. And so we put the junior high finals on for a couple of years there. And so anyways, but hopefully there'll still be some bull riders in a few years.
And Chris, I'll just like Jeff Pope last night, when he started riding, when he showed up at the high school scene, and I see him, they came to our Bronx school, however many years ago, and I talked to his mom, Jennifer, about it, and I told her, I said, the kid's riding good, he's coming along, but I said, I know you guys are going to want to start taking him to some of these open rodeos, but I said, be careful where you're taking him. Don't just go to any open rodeo just because there's a rodeo. I said, dang sure that contractor, talk to some people around, make sure that contractor will kind of help take care of him. And dang it, I don't care. And this might come off wrong. I don't care if it's rigging the draw or whatever, but take care of them kids. If they show up at your open rodeo, your little deals, don't kill them off there. And that's what I told her. I said, he's in an event to where he doesn't need to be getting on a lot of horses or especially rank ones until he gets out of high school. Just take care of him, get on some nice stuff because his body, don't send him out of high school wore out. And so they did really good job with him there. And so now he's fresh. He's not. I mean, he's in good shape to go win around at the NFR now.
That speaks exactly to what Crystal said. I know so many kids with great rodeo potential, but their bodies were used up by the time high school or college was over, for sure.
I could name guys that people have never even heard of, and that rode great, and either the party scene got them or their bodies gave out. A guy named Tommy Trott, he went to college at Weatherford at Southwestern, made the college finals a couple times. He had the ability. Whenever we were 15 years old, that kid was as good as anybody. But I talked to him just a few months back, and he said, the last semester he was in college, the only bulls he got on were at college rodeos because he was on a scholarship and his hips were toast. And he had to get on bulls at college rodeos to keep his scholarship because he got on so many big ranked bucking bulls when he was 14 years old. And after college, he had minimal success in the PRCA, but like way underachieved just because he used his body up when he was 14, 15 years old. And there's hundreds of people like that. I mean, there's probably not a person listening right now that's ever heard of Tommy Trott, but unless they're from Oklahoma. Jim Boy, you have?
Oh, yeah, he was still around.
Yeah, well, he was in college when you were. He was at Weatherford with Brian Rice. Yeah. Brian Rice, he was a home run hitter too. He was a 2-event guy and made the circuit finals in the bareback riding, but rode bulls better than he rode bucking horses. And
Jimmy, steer wrestlers.
Say that again, Jim Boy.
I probably knew more roughies than steer wrestlers
because we're cooler. The bull riders always knew the steer wrestlers, though, because there was going to be a fist fight. We needed bodyguards.
Well, there's probably a whole generation of kids that we missed out on.
Yeah, most definitely. And
because it took that long to figure it out.
I think that there's a group of kids right now. My son's 18. And so from my son down to there's some kids that are like 14 years old right now, maybe 15. And their parents had the right mindset and they took the time to, like Jim Boy said, pay attention where they entered them. Don't let them go here because the bulls ain't going to be right. And there's a group of kids from 14 to 18 years old that they can really, really do it. I get to see them at these junior rodeos and junior bull ridings and stuff. And I think the future of bull riding looks really, really bright right now. There's a group of kids that are coming on that are pretty unbelievable, actually.
That's exciting.
So
we're coming up on an hour and 20 minutes. Jim Boy, do we want to hash out through some events, or did y'all talk about what you wanted to talk about?
Oh, I don't think there's a whole lot.
Listen,
I want to know
steer wrestling.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask Jim Boy. He's a steer wrestler. I want to know what's going on in the steer wrestling because my guy, I got 3 fantasy teams, and I think I'm going to split. I'm going to win the worst team with all 3 teams. And my Bulldoggers are a big part of the reason. Like, they didn't show up. I'm like, what in the hell's going on here?
Well,
I'm still Matt Reeves. I'm still team Matt Reeves, obviously.
I had Matt Reeves last year, and he won the average, but he cost too much this year. So I've got Jewel Hazen and Clayton Haas, and they both went out the first night, and I was just like, oh, my goodness.
Last night hurt Matt's chances, I think, and I hate to see that. I was really pulling for him. But I think that really hurt him. Jacob Edler, all he's got to do is go make 2 more runs. I think it's in his hands.
That sounds easy, Jim Boy.
Oh, yeah. That's and the draw could factor in. You could draw something that's going to be tough to get around. But I was with you. I thought Clayton Haas was a really good pick. Of course, we all know that what was it, Mickey G that came in 15th one year and
Yep.
left there with the world title, I think. So it's anybody's shot, but it's
So
watching.
listen, I really felt like this was Blake Knoll's year. I mean, he came into the finals higher than he has before, and usually he's real good in the average, kind of a sleeper almost. Won his first round. Well, won outright his first round. I know he split the first round, but won the round on his own last night. I think he was out in the average, but I was excited to at least see him win the round. But he usually does real well in the average.
Now, Guy Smith here, former coach at Altus, Western Oklahoma, he says, I could have told you to pick Edler. That's where Edler went to school. And so I think it's a good thing the finals are in Arlington and not Vegas for Edler.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jewel is performing pretty well at those buckle ceremonies.
I'm the same way. I mean, this is a good thing. They kick us out at 1 o'clock, and then whenever you get to the hotel, you can go from the lobby all the way to your room and not get robbed by a blackjack table. Like this, it's awesome.
Y'all might leave with more money.
That's what I'm saying. I've got home. I've got to my room with all my money every night. It's been awesome.
I want to comment on the team roping. My team is winning the average. They're the only team that's got them all tangled up. And I guarantee you, they're going to go at it in the mindset of they're roping in a number, the local jackpot,
Yep.
Whatever. They just want to go get them. They're just going to try to get 2 more tangled up. I'm like,
they're going to run them
for me.
They're going to run them to the 50-yard line and catch them. And which my guy,
pitcher's
Joseph
mound.
Harrison, I've known Joseph since he was just like those other guys. I've known him since he's about 10. I used to rope with him whenever he was about a number 2 and I was about a number 4. And here I am a 4. Now he's about a 14. So I taught him everything he knows. But
obviously,
he roped a leg last night and it moved him down 2 spots in the average. But those guys from 2nd to 4th in the average are all within like 2 seconds of each other. And, of course, Peyton Bray and them, they're over there laughing because they're like, all we got to do is track them down here and waller it on one and we're going to win. So I don't expect them to do anything stupid, but it's going to be good. Those guys that are actually fighting for a world title or 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the average, those guys are that's going to get good watching for the next 2 nights. I don't know why Joseph roped a leg last night. I've taught him better than that, but did you see the night he missed?
Yeah.
There was nobody more surprised that he missed than him because he's expecting to win. But
we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the barrel racing, Jim Boy.
Oh man.
Goodness gracious.
We talking about who's winning 2nd or what?
We're talking about
rubber band sales have went up in the last 2 days. I just want y'all to know that. Every little girl in the world is going to have her hands rubber banded to her saddle. They're all going to be hands down.
One comment I'll say here is I seen a deal yesterday that Haley made a comment out there, something about I may even use some rubber bands and red, what I don't know. And I commented, a lot of people think the barrel racers all hate each other, but them girls, they genuinely enjoy one another. Like I was just watching the Gage podcast this morning. They had both of them in there last night, and I mean they're celebrating together and everything, and that's neat to see because I guarantee a lot of them people out there think that barrel racers have to hate one another, and they don't. I mean, and like they said, they're kind of like the Bulldoggers, That's what I was going to say. They're a fun group, and they do pull for it. I remember last year when I was out there helping Emily, and that one night she didn't do any good. But her yellow mare Foxy made a good run, and she was telling the other girls, yellow power tonight, all the Palomino horses that were used, and so, but it is neat, and then just the speed of them horses and the records and me as a producer or whatever, I think anybody that really knows, the ground's going to keep getting better throughout the week. It happens at the college finals. You see it there. Any of them indoor buildings, that ground will just keep getting better. And it takes the ground guy a little bit to kind of figure it out, the right moisture content and the right depth and substance of everything. But
I'm excited to see. I'd really like to see Emily get at least one more round win. Just, man, Chongo gets faster. It's like a switch flipped for her and for Chongo. It's good to see.
They were struggling at the beginning, and she was on one of my teams, and my son had him on his team, and so we were both kind of beating our head against the wall there for a little bit. But
she was too.
But that's the thing, about rodeo, and it takes one bad run to run a good thing, or one good run to run a bad thing. So it all starts with one. It can go either way, and once you get on a roll, especially at the NFR, once you get on a roll, you're going. That's why Marty Yates kind of let me down. He won the first 2 rounds. I had him on a team, and I'm like, we're going to go 10 for 10.
But it's hard to do. It's and I always say rodeo's a very humbling sport.
For sure. Well, sounds like you guys might be running out of gas.
No, I mean, we can talk all day long. The only other comment I have right now is I think we should start campaigning for Jimmy Morris to take over when Donnie Gay can't commentate the board.
I would love to have
Donnie Gay's job. I'm so glad you said that.
I love Donnie Gay's job. Donnie Gay has the coolest job ever.
I'm so glad they got him back over what we had last year.
Yeah, Donnie is he loves the sport. He's put his whole life into the sport, and he's pretty fun to listen to. He comes up with some pretty articulate descriptions.
Yeah, I got to ask you guys. He rode him like a yard dog.
Yeah.
I was asking my husband, I'm like, am I missing something? What does that even mean?
I don't know what it means, but it's funny.
It was funny.
We haven't even got to bash on the judges yet, Jim Boy. What in the hell's going on with these guys?
I'll give it's not easy.
Yes.
Them guys, some things should be better. Maybe it's just one guy that's affecting it. I don't know. I think the bareback riding is probably their hardest event, maybe, and maybe that's just the type of horses they're getting on. Maybe the horses are just too much and alike. I don't know. I mean, it's a half a point makes a huge difference. But I've when I got done riding, I started judging, and I judged the PBR finals, and I've judged hundreds of their major events. And so I know what it's like to be at the world finals with a pencil in your hand and somebody's riding right in front of you. But to me, if you don't know some of them guys have marked them horses 22s, and some of them's marked them 17s on the same ride. So that's where my problem comes into play, because a 17-point horse, that means you're going to be 68 points on him. A 22-point horse, that means you're going to be 88 to 90 on him. Now, somebody wasn't watching or something. That's where I have my issues with what's taking place. And I'm really glad that they show the numbers on the screen so everybody can see that, and then scratch their head and wonder what in the hell's going on. I keep seeing, people like, what's up with judge number 3? He needs to be gone. And I don't know if when they list them numbers, if it's just the order they're coming in. I don't think so, because you might see 1, 2, 4 at the bottom, and then 3 come in.
Well, and the judges are all different in all the timed events. In all the rough stock events anyways, because they use a different set of judges. So it's not do what? Yeah, for each event. So the same 4 judges that are judging the bareback ride, and judge number 3 is not the same judge in the saddle bronc ride. So they use all of their pro officials. So it's not the same judges every event.
Okay, let's talk about that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have, I think, 16 officials on salary, full-time pro officials, and they use them all at the NFR. They use them all somewhere. They might. So
it's not the same 4 in the saddle bronc as the same for in the
No, ma'am.
bareback. I
Correct.
did not know that. That's really good because that was one of the questions that people asked.
Now, one of the questions were that now they are in the same position, the same event all the way through the week, correct?
Yes.
But there'll be 4 in the bareback riding and then a whole nother 4 in the field for the
Yep.
saddle bronc riding.
Yep.
Now,
Huh.
if you're working the field in the saddle bronc riding, you might be a back judge,
Right.
bareback riding,
Right.
or wherever else doing whatever, drinking your coffee and getting
Yeah.
ready.
Right. Or you might be down there on $1,000 mask detail. It's $1,000 they catch you without your mask.
That's something else that I seen a comment about on a deal from some contestants were the fines and the whole I think the PRCA patch they have on their shirt here. I don't know how much that fine. I haven't found out what that fine is, but it's a fine if they don't have that on. But yeah, I don't know. So to answer some of Heidi's questions, it's the same judges throughout the week. Now I think their positioning, I think they're struggling with some of their positioning. Like in Vegas, the far end judge a little further down, and in my opinion, and I've watched it back to see because the other night I was like, man, them guys about ran into each other trying to get away. And then last night, I'm not sure who that was last night. A horse. I mean, he about got run
Running
over.
for his life.
Yeah.
I was out, the kid that Lucchese rodeos was a saddle bronc rider. So I've been watching a lot of saddle bronc riding the last 2 years at them, IPRA rodeos and stuff. And I told him, I said, that's why you're getting your discrepancies in your judging is because one judge running for his life half the time. And I don't know the solution to it, but you watch any pro rodeo you want to watch. And at some point there's a judge running for his life and you can't judge what you can't see. And so I don't know the solution to it. I know the bull riding, I judge from the back. I don't have to run for my life. I can see what happens in the chute. I can see, the fouls and stuff. And when I did the PBRs, I was usually one of the back judges. But then the other judges are outside of the arena at a point where they can see, but they don't have to run for their life. And anytime you're running for your life, you're missing what's going on.
So the PBR and Casper, they had them sitting in the stands, one on each side.
Yeah, and there was probably one on the back of each chute more than likely.
Yep,
They
I
probably
think
had
so.
4. So yeah, but I noticed exactly what Jim Boy's talking about last night. That judge turned and was running for his life, and I actually pointed it out to somebody. I said, "How can that guy judge? He can't even see. He's running for his life."
So we got a conversation about fines in the comments.
$1,000 for not having a little PRCA patch on your.
And then if you drop your rope or let your rope go in the team rope, and it's a $500 fine. Man, sounds like the college finals, kind of a little bit of a nickel and dime effect there.
Well, that's one thing the PRCA has perfected. They have perfected how to get our money. Lucchese entered a rodeo.
Got to pay for all those judges.
Lucchese went to an Extreme Bulls, and I looked at his account the next day, and 2 days later, and it said he was ineligible. And I said, you need to call and find out why you're ineligible. And they said, well, you didn't pay your fees. And he said, yeah, I have a receipt. I paid. They tried to fine him. He paid his fees. They were going to fine him. I'm like, man, y'all are still the same.
I remember when me and Jimmy lived together, he used to get we'd get our monthly statement in an envelope, regular, and I can't remember if you didn't know anything, you might not have gotten one. I can't remember. I got them a few times, but Jimmy got one every month. But
I get them all the time
in an envelope like that. The big brown vanilla. I mean, like thick. That's what Jimmy's.
All your fines.
I kid you not, and it's so funny because I looked through there. What was the deal? You were in 2 short goes, Salinas, Cheyenne, or something, or not? Man, maybe they weren't both short goes, but he got fined for a turnout for being up in one rodeo when he's in short go of another rodeo.
That's one thing that they have changed. I will give them props for that. They have changed it where you aren't doubled up so much. I mean, you used to be at 3 rodeos at one night whenever you were begging them not to put you up that night, but that's just how it ended up. And I never had any money, but I had a lot of confidence. And I figured if they're going to let me enter and not have to pay my fees to go get on, I'm going to try it. And whenever I went to Cheyenne and I left their home with $100. And that's another thing I want to talk about how things have changed earlier. Like now you win money and they put it on your account. You can't even get to it. And when I left for Cheyenne, I had $100 and I was entered at Manhattan, Kansas the night before, and I had a good bull and I knew I was going to win. I'd had that bull. Nobody hardly ridden that bull all year long. He threw off Ty and he threw off some of the Creos and he bucked some good guys off, but I'd ridden him 3 times. So I knew if I went to Manhattan, I was going to win. Well, I went to Manhattan and I wrote 1 second. Well, I got my day money check and I got my check for winning because they give me my money and I cashed it right there. Well, you can't do that now. And I'm like, how in the hell are you even supposed to rodeo if you can't get no money?
How do you get to the next one?
Well, I've got to have my money. And that's how I paid my fees at Cheyenne, because I won second at Manhattan the night before. And then I won Cheyenne and won, another $8,000. But I'm like, I couldn't have done that today. I don't understand how they expect you to rodeo. Some of us are poor.
But don't they, like, your fees come out, you have your account and your fees come out of that and your winnings go into it, right?
Right. But here's my deal. I didn't have no money in my account. I didn't have no money for my fees. And once I won some money, I needed money for gas to get to Cheyenne. Like I had to have money.
Used to, we had about 3 days to
a little cushion.
Yeah.
Back when I'd pay my fees, I'd show up to a rodeo and I'd just tell them I'm paying through the office. Well, then I wouldn't have, I'd call Monday morning and put on my credit card. Then by God, you better not forget. Because
but me and KJ one time, we were going to go to Salt Lake City, and then we were going to go to Salinas, and then back to Ogden and some rodeos in Utah and stuff. Well, this is how times have changed from 1992. We got on an airplane in Oklahoma City, and whenever we left, as soon as we left the runway, I looked at him and I said, "You are not going to believe what I did." He said, "What?" I said, "I left my checkbook over my sun visor." Well, my checkbook was my wallet. It had my driver's license, my credit cards. You didn't have to have a driver's license to get on a plane back then.
Yeah.
I left everything I had over my sun visor. We got to Salt Lake City, and Sonny Deb was the secretary. And I told her, I said, "Hey, I don't have no money. I left my checkbook in my truck, and we're going to be gone for 2 weeks. And I don't have a dime. And no way to get no money." And me and KJ were the only 2 that stayed on at Salt Lake, and our day money was like almost $900 a piece. And hell, I was good to go then. I didn't have no credit card or no driver's license, but I didn't need one.
Do you remember, did you ever leave an envelope, a stamped envelope with your address on there?
Yeah.
With the secretary? We used to do that. We'd leave, when you was at a rodeo and you did well, you thought, man, I'm getting a check out of here. That helped you get your money quicker. If you'd leave a stamped envelope with your address on there, then that secretary would send it. Now
that's funny.
I bet there's at least 5 or 6 secretaries out there that still have my damn envelope. They never.
They didn't ever send your money.
Yeah. Well, that must have got bumped out, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll tell another kind of funny story. When I lived with Jimmy, his National High School saddle, I don't know how many times I went through the pawn shop there at Tishomingo or Ardmore or wherever he'd take it, but he would take that National High School final saddle and pawn it and get enough money for fees. And kids these days, they don't have a clue.
Yeah.
That's what we had. We had to do stuff like that. He would get enough money for fees to go rodeo.
Yep.
And then he'd come back and he'd go buy a saddleback. And then, of course, he'd go buy him a new pair of boots and jeans and
some beer. I'd buy a beer too, Jim Boy.
Oh, hell,
honesty.
I had a fake ID, and I was like, whenever I went to college, I'd already been out of high school for 2 years before I went to college. So I was 19, and Jim Boy and them, they were just out of high school, and I'd already rodeoed in the PRCA for almost 2 years. So I already knew the ropes and I knew how to get around a little bit. So I had a fake ID, and I'd buy us beer and we'd have a good time. Yeah.
So Crystal Longfellow says, I still have envelopes. Oh, that's funny. So you guys, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Jimmy. I
Yep.
think the FCC didn't shut us down yet. We made it through, but
I was gonna bring one of Rumford's beers this morning, but you can't. The only place you can find them's with Rumford, and so I asked him about the distribution, and he said that they were starting to distribute. And they got shut down because of COVID, and they had to regroup and all that. But I didn't go to the stockyards yesterday, so I didn't get to have me no super light beer this morning.
well, I was trying to get Jalen to bring me some. He came back home to work at the sale barn last night and today, and he was already back over the state line before I got a hold of him. And I don't know. I may have to. I stayed home today to put some round bells out. There's supposed to be some weather moving in, and I was going to do some stuff around here. I may have to drive over to Holly, Colorado, and see if we can find us some this afternoon.
I think that winter might actually be hitting us now. We got some snow today, so.
It's supposed to rain here today too, so weather's kind of moving in everywhere. And I don't know, they've got a couple trade shows, and a couple of them are inside, but like the ones in the stockyards, they're just kind of intense out on the streets. So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go for them. I guess if it doesn't get too rough, but this is Central Texas, and you know how these Texas storms can get, Jim Boy.
Well, they just had a tornado down there like 2 weeks ago, I think, that went through Arlington.
But I missed out
How
on
bad
it.
it was. I don't
Yeah.
think it got too much, but
I think the trade shows are going really good. Lane Frost, see my hat right here?
Yeah,
I that's one of my son's sponsors, and I talked to him
very
the other
cool.
night, and he said he had done more in 5 days here than he did in 4 years in Vegas. So I think the trade shows are doing pretty good.
I've heard that from a few vendors that they're having like their biggest day in Vegas. They're doubling that in Texas.
Yeah. So he said he did more in 5 days than he did in 4 years. That's kind of a big step there. So
Yeah. Well, so we're coming up real quick on the 2-hour mark, which is crazy. And we really are blowing Facebook's algorithms out the water. We have managed to stay right at about 51, 55 viewers the entire time. So we've got some fans, I would say, of Jim Boy and of you, Jimmy. So
yeah, they probably wanted to get on here and see if I had something really, really bad to tell on Jim Boy, but I don't. He's been married too long for me to ruin it now.
listen, they probably want to make sure y'all weren't telling stories about them.
There's some stories out there, trust me.
Yeah, we hadn't told on anybody. I didn't tell anything. I seen Taco the other night. I hadn't told no stories on him.
Some things just need to go to the grave.
Yeah.
There's I'll mention this real quick. The NFR Saddle Bronc Riders locker room after the 10th round. I have video of that on a phone that is laying around here somewhere that don't charge much anymore. And that's one of them deals that needs to just go to the grave with me.
Was it when Wade Sundell won the world, maybe?
Nah, no, I can't remember who won the world, but it was a fun time. I ended up down in their locker room after the 10th round.
How would you like to have been tied to Wade Sundell for the next 24 hours after he won the world? Oh my goodness.
Let's just say this particular night, he drove me, Court Shear, Kimma, and can't remember the bareback rider from Canada. But we were in a hurry to get to the Casey Jones's deal because they was giving a trailer away. If you were there and a contestant in that deal, your name was in the drawing for the trailer. And I thought sure enough I was going to jail in Vegas with Wade Sundell and Court Shear. And but I was like, I told somebody that story, and they're like, "Can you imagine how many recruits you'd get if you told them kids that you went to jail with Court and Wade in Vegas?"
I mean, they wrote a song about partying with Wade Sundell. I mean, you could have been part of the song.
It was an interesting trip. We took out a few construction cones and turned around in the middle of an intersection because we flew by the entrance into the Mirage. So I'd go down, the Austin Powers movie. We was trying to what we looked like in the dually, trying to get turned around and get back to the Mirage.
I will say, Wade Sundell, I know him, and he spends a lot of time in Oklahoma, and he's a super, super nice guy. and he is probably my favorite rodeo contestant, maybe besides my son. But I just, whenever he gets in there, he's going to win first. He's going to win first or last, and he never thinks he's going to win last. He goes for first every time. But with that being said, I do not think I'd want my son to rodeo with Wade Sundell. I mean, you want to talk about learn some bad habits in a hurry. Oh my goodness.
All right, you boys, I'm going to get us wrapped up. I think y'all could go on for a couple more hours. So,
Yeah.
well, I appreciate your time, Jimmy.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you guys. I feel honored that Jim Boy thought enough of me to call me and want me to be on the show. And I looked at who you guys have had on here the last few days, and I'm like, what in the hell am I doing on here? I mean, I'm just a nobody, but I feel honored, and I'm glad that Jim Boy called me, and I'm glad we had a good visit this morning.
Yeah, heck yeah. So clearly, I have a feeling this is going to be an annual thing. Hopefully, maybe someday we'll be in person there instead of via Zoom. Yeah, Jim Boy, look what you did.
Yeah. Hey, we can be at the trade show every morning drinking Bloody Marys, doing this show live.
I know, on the Cowboy Channel.
Yeah, exactly. We can get them gathered around.
Tell your buddy Justin McKee tonight when you see him.
Well, I will. I mean,
He's on my Facebook feed, but I haven't heard, But.
We could be the lead-in for Flint's Out of the Barrel show or something like that.
I know. Sounds exciting.
They don't start till after the afternoon, and if it's in Vegas, we could do this before we went to bed.
Oh God! Oh my gosh! All right, I'm gonna do a wrap up, you guys. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Clearly, we want to give a shout out to Cinch Jeans, Double Rafter Livestock, Garden City Community College, and then I want to do a little shout out for a little boutique here in Casper called the Painted Pony Wyoming. I got this great shirt from her. I stand with Duttons. And I'll give a shout out to Flint. He's going to have the producer of that show, Yellowstone, on his Outside the Barrel, I think today, maybe tomorrow. But obviously we wouldn't be able to do that. I think we all get support from lots of different places, but definitely a shout out to those guys. So, hey, tune in tomorrow for NFR Hangover Round 9. Tomorrow is going to be real good. I don't know if it's going to be as good as today. CJ Aragon and Tony Branquino are going to be with us tomorrow. So yeah, we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good day.
Thanks,
awesome. See y'all.
See ya.